Most men are not weak by nature. They become weak slowly, quietly, without realizing it. Not because they lack potential, but because they were trained to suppress it. You were not born to hesitate. You were not born to doubt every move you make. You were not born to shrink yourself to fit into smaller spaces. That behavior was learned, conditioned over time, reinforced by comfort, by fear, by the need to be accepted. And now it feels normal. But normal is not natural. There is a version of you that exists beneath all of that conditioning. A version that is decisive, focused, disciplined, dangerous in the right way. But that version doesn't show up by accident. It only appears when comfort is removed. And most men never remove it. They build their lives around ease. Easy entertainment. Easy validation. Easy distractions. And then they wonder why they feel nothing. Why there is no fire in their chest. No urgency in their actions. No weight behind their words. Because comfort kills intensity. And without intensity, a man drifts. He wakes up, checks his phone, scrolls, consumes, delays. And repeats. Not because he wants to live that way, but because he has lost control of his focus. And once a man loses control of his focus, he loses control of his life. Discipline is not something you talk about. It is something you enforce. Daily. In small decisions that nobody sees. Waking up when you said you would. Doing the work when you don't feel like it. Finishing what you start. That is where strength is built. Not in motivation. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. Discipline does not depend on how you feel. It depends on what you decide. And most men never make that decision. They wait to feel ready. They wait for the right time. They wait for clarity. But clarity comes after action, not before it. If you wait until you feel ready, you will wait forever. Because your mind is designed to protect you from discomfort. It will give you excuses that sound reasonable. Rest today. Start tomorrow. You deserve a break. And if you listen long enough, those excuses become your lifestyle. This is how men waste years. Not through failure, but through delay, through hesitation, through choosing comfort over growth, again and again, until it becomes who they are. And then one day they look around and realize they built nothing. No discipline, no structure, no identity, just habits that keep them stuck. A man without discipline is easy to control. He reacts instead of acting. He follows instead of leading. He consumes instead of creating. Because he never trained himself to do otherwise. But once a man becomes disciplined, everything changes. He doesn't need external pressure. He becomes his own pressure. He sets a standard and he meets it, regardless of how he feels. That is where power begins. Not in appearance, not in talk, but in consistency. The ability to do what needs to be done. Every single day without negotiation. That is rare. And anything rare has value. Most people talk about goals. Very few build systems. A goal is an idea. A system is what turns that idea into reality. If your life has no structure, your goals don't matter. Because nothing is guiding your actions. You wake up and decide based on mood. And mood is unstable. One day you feel driven. The next day you feel nothing. And because you rely on feeling, your progress disappears. Structure removes that problem. It tells you what to do, regardless of emotion. Train, Work. Improve. No debate. No overthinking. Just execution. This is what separates men who build from men who drift. One relies on feeling. The other relies on discipline. And over time, that difference becomes everything. Respect is not given to potential. It is given to proof. People respond to what you demonstrate consistently. Not what you say you will do. Not what you plan to become. But what you show every day. If your actions are inconsistent, your results will be invisible. And invisible men are ignored. Not because the world is unfair, but because the world responds to value. If you are not building anything, there is nothing to recognize. That's the reality most people avoid. They want respect without effort, results without discipline, growth without discomfort. That does not exist. Every version of you that is stronger requires you to let go of a version of you that is weaker. That means giving up habits, comfort, distractions, excuses. And that process is not easy. It is repetitive. It is uncomfortable. And it is lonely at times. Because when you start changing, you separate yourself from people who stay the same. Not because you are better, but because your priorities are different. You are focused. They are distracted. You are building. They are consuming. And those two paths do not align. So you will feel the distance. That is part of the process. Growth is not always loud. Most of the time, it is silent. Early mornings, late nights, unseen effort, no applause, no recognition, just work. And that is where most people quit. Because they want results to come quickly. They want effort to be rewarded immediately. But real progress is delayed. You put in the work today and see the result weeks later, months later, sometimes years later. And if you cannot handle that delay, you will not last long enough to see anything change. Patience is part of discipline. Consistency is part of strength. And both are required if you want to build anything real. There is no shortcut around it. No trick. No secret method. Just repeated action over time. Done correctly. Done daily. That is how a man rebuilds himself. Not in one moment, but through thousands of small decisions that stack. Until one day, the difference is undeniable. The way he thinks is sharper. The way he moves is intentional. The way he lives is structured. And people notice, not because he announces it, but because it shows. That is real presence. It cannot be faked. It is earned. And once you reach that level, you don't go back. Because you understand the cost of weakness. You understand what it feels like to waste time, to drift, to live without direction. And you refuse to return to that state. So you protect your discipline. You protect your time. You protect your focus. Because those are the things that built you. At the end of it all, this comes down to a decision. Not a feeling. A decision. To stop negotiating with yourself. To stop choosing comfort when you know better. To stop delaying the work that needs to be done. No one is coming to force you. No one is going to build your life for you. If you stay where you are, that is on you. If you improve, that is also on you. Everything depends on what you do next. Not tomorrow. Not later. Now. You either continue the pattern, or you break it. And once you break it, you don't look back. Because you finally understand something most men never do. Discipline is not punishment. It is freedom. And without it, you will always be controlled by something else.